The following podcast contains spoilers for Moon and the Mummy. You have been warned.
Welcome back, everybody, to KFR News Radio. Here is Miguel Magusto and Benjamin Button. As always, how you doing, Miguel?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm swell.
That's good. Hey, I got a question for you.
You better ask me.
In which country does the spectacular opening sequence of the Bond movie Spectre take place? I have multiple choice if you want it, but that's a pretty easy one.
I haven't seen Spectre since it came out, and it was like my least favorite Bond movie.
But you don't remember the spectacular opening sequence?
I don't even remember the opening sequence at all. Was it in Mexico?
Yeah!
The only reason I
Dios de
remember
los Muertos.
was because the face masks
Yeah, Dios de los Muertos.
instead of the knee masks or anything like that.
So, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I already told you, but I might as well tell the two people listening. I got a box of movie trivia questions for Christmas this year, and I got no other way to use them because no one can keep up with me when it comes to movie trivia. So I'm just going to read one before every episode and see if I can trick Glenn.
Well, which won't be hard because
it won't be hard.
It
No.
already almost messed me up there.
Yeah,
I almost said Scandinavia or some shit.
I honestly thought that one was pretty easy too.
That was easy. I was just dumb.
Yeah. So how you been, Glenn?
Believe it or not, Mike, I'm fantastic.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Maybe it's because I watched one movie other than our lineup this week. How about that?
I also watched only one movie other than our lineup, which I was shocked to find out when I looked it up. So yeah, so it is what it is. What movie did you watch?
Mine's kind of cheating, but it was Captain Marvel.
That's not cheating. You watched it before we recorded this, so
Which is like literally 2 hours ago.
yeah. How was it?
It was good. It was nothing to write home about,
Yeah.
like you said last time in the last podcast, which we just text home about now.
Yeah, text him. Nothing to text home about.
It was funny. Ben Mendelsohn was surprisingly really funny.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of those movies that like Marvel fans always overestimate or over-exaggerate how good Marvel movies are and then over-exaggerate how bad DC movies are.
Yeah.
Like everyone's talking about how great this movie is. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's deserving of some praise. But then when it comes to DC movies, which I would not say are terrible, but they're just like meh. Everyone's just like, oh, they're terrible. They're just stupid and the Marvel Universe is better. Blah.
Well, the thing about this one for me has been I've seen lots of mixed reviews. So it's either really bad or it's either, hey, this movie's heckin' good.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, this is the most advertised Marvel movie I have ever seen so far.
Yeah, really. And the thing is, Brie Larson's a great actress, but she looks so flat in this.
She's mainly flat, but it's more of like a funny kind of flat.
Okay, that's good to know because she's
Not hilarious funny, but like
she's been
I've met
boring
girls
me.
like this.
Yeah, she's been boring me just in the trailers, so I'm not too.
I don't expect you to be any more
I
excited.
mean, yeah, you know me. I'm not. I wouldn't be excited about it even if she was given like an Oscar-worthy performance in the trailers. But yeah, I'm not. I'll see it eventually, but I'm not. Itching to see it.
See it because of Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. That's all I could throw at you.
Sam Jackson playing with a kitten is all I need to see.
That's really it. Yeah. Honestly, yes.
The one movie I saw this week, other than our lineup, is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Oh.
The third in the trilogy, most recent in the trilogy as well.
Is it the third? I could have sworn it was the fourth.
I'm pretty sure it's just the third.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that it's just the third.
Yeah.
But it feels like these movies have been coming out.
Well, that's
so
the thing
much.
with them is that they just have so much time. I mean, there's a lot of shorts that they have.
Yeah.
Where they probably advertise the shorts as well. So that I could see why it feels that way.
So wait, I know we already said spoilers, so that I don't even care at this point. In the second one, does the dad die?
We didn't say spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon.
I don't give a shit.
Yes, the dad does die in How to Train Your Dragon
Okay,
too.
that makes sense now. I'm good. Sorry, everyone else in the world. You've had time.
Yeah,
you could recuperate from this.
Yeah, it was decent. Probably, it was entertaining. It got me emotionally a few times, but it's probably the least impressive of the two, especially with cinematography. There were parts in both 1 and 2 that made me drop my jaw, and in this, that never really happened. For imagery alone, not necessarily what was going on in the frame, but
true.
But yeah, it's decent.
It's a movie.
It is a movie. So let's get into our first movie, shall we? Let's get into Moon.
Sam Bell reporting to Central. Everything running smoothly. Over and out. Rock and roll. God bless America.
Good morning, Sam. Do you want me to cut your hair there?
Lunar Industries remains the #1 provider of clean energy worldwide due to the hard work of people like you.
Daddy has no
3 years is a long haul,
I know you're really lonely up there, but I'm proud of you.
2 weeks to go, Sam.
2 weeks to go, buddy. I'm going home.
Written and directed by Duncan Jones, Moon tells the story of astronaut Sam Bell has a quintessentially personal encounter toward the end of his 3-year stint on the moon, where he, working alongside with computer Gertie, sends back to Earth parcels of a resource that has helped diminish our planet's power problems. You like that alliteration?
Planet's power problems.
Planet's power problems. It's starring Sam Rockwell, Kevin Spacey pre-scandal. And
Way
that's
pre-scandal.
Yeah, yeah. That's more or less it. There are other faces, I actually forgot that Matt Berry was in it. He's one of my favorite comedians. And Benedict Wong.
Yeah, you don't see any of those guys.
Yeah,
much.
you see them a little bit, but very, very briefly. But yeah, the reason I picked this is I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. I remember really enjoying it, and I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since you recommended it to me, which was probably 2013, 14?
Yeah, something like that.
And to be honest with you, I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
Not because it was bad or anything. not trying to lengthen this podcast. But to be honest, you gave me a lot of movies, and I've watched a lot of movies since then. And I kind of just forgot most things about it.
You had a high concentration of films there. The thing about this movie is that shots are memorable. Like, I remember thinking, I remember that shot. But like overall plot and dialogue, with the exception of the big reveal that they're clones. We said spoilers already. In this movie, we actually said spoilers.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, other than the fact that they're clones and a few shots here or there, overall, it's not incredibly memorable. It is a really good movie. I think it still holds up even after 10 years, actually. It's almost been 10 years. I think it still holds up. And but, it's a pretty flat movie throughout. There's no huge peaks or valleys, really, as far as intensity. It's just kind of suspenseful throughout. And I don't want to say it's one tone throughout, but it doesn't have any spectacles that are incredibly memorable.
Yeah. Obviously, one thing you gotta love about this movie is Sam Rockwell himself. Mm-hmm. Fucking dude right there.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Finally got an Oscar. What, a year or two ago? And
yeah, for I think it was last year for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Yeah, he was fantastic. The thing that was really great about him is that he's essentially playing one person, or like he's playing two clones of one person.
Yeah.
But there's a difference of 3 years of being alone between those two people.
Yeah.
And you can see the subtle differences. Like, they're the same person, but they act completely differently. Like, the younger clone is much more aggressive, probably how he was, the older one was when he first was woken up. And, you know, he's definitely calmed down, you know, picked up gardening and model building to kind of kind of calm him down a bit. Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's the same person, but two completely different characters because of the time spent between the 3 years.
And what's really cool about that is it kind of answers the age-old question, is like, what if I met my younger self? Would I like him?
Yeah.
And at first, no.
Yeah, no.
Well, mainly because they're baffled that they're both clones, but still.
Yeah.
They kind of don't like each other because one's like, you need to calm your temper. He's like, I know. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite things about this movie is the soundtrack. It's got a great soundtrack. It's composed by, I believe, Clint Mansell, who is typically works with Darren Aronofsky. He's done a few other things, but most notably with Darren Aronofsky. And as soon as it came on, I just remembered the several months I spent listening to the soundtrack after I watched the movie. It's because I was talking about how it's not really a memorable movie, but the soundtrack isn't, for me at least, is very memorable.
No, it's definitely a solid soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially like in his like travels to go collect the samples for the energy and stuff like that from the rovers or whatever the drills. No, they're not drills. They're
harvesters.
Yeah, harvesters.
So essentially, if anyone here hasn't seen it, they have found a way to take the solar energy from moon rock and harvest it for energy, and that's essentially what he's doing up there. There's these giant machines that kind of cut up the rock and make it harvestable, and he collects it and sends it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the thing I think it did really well. It created very subtle mysteries, like things that the first time around don't really click, but then the second time you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, that's so obvious now, and making you wonder. Like the biggest thing is you don't really kind of understand what's going on with the broken comm system, where like he can't speak live to someone on Earth. He has to send a video and then receive a video back. Yeah. And then later on in one of the videos, you can see that one of the videos is edited, but he just thinks that, you know, he doesn't think anything of it at first. It's just very subtle things that you don't pick up on until you know exactly what's happening. And then you're like, oh shit, this is actually really well thought out.
And then like another thing on top of that is, like in the beginning, you're kind of left like, oh, I know what's going to happen. And then something else happens. You're like, oh, okay. I'm down for that. Yeah. Like rewatching it, I kind of knew. I had a vague little image in my head. And then I was like, oh shit, no, that's not what happens. Mm-hmm. This happens. That was nice to have. It's a nice little twister-rooney, you know?
I think it's this movie was definitely a lot more indie feeling than I remember. I remember growing up, or not growing up, but when I first watched it,
well, I grew up 10 years ago.
At the ripe old age of 20 years old, I watched it and I remembered it being like much bigger scale. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the graphics haven't aged well or the way it's shot hasn't aged well. It's probably more so the way it's edited that I don't think has aged as well as I would have liked. You know, it feels, for lack of a better word, amateurish, even though it's obviously not. You got Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey involved, so it's definitely got some professionalism behind it. But this was Duncan Jones' first feature film, so you can definitely see where he was kind of learning and growing while making it.
Yeah. Some of the CGI didn't age well, I guess, in the last 10 years either.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was good regardless, but I mean, you could tell, obviously, that a spaceship wasn't a spaceship. But it's not bad. It's not bad CGI.
Mm-hmm. The movie had a $5 million budget. Not 500 million. That'd be crazy.
500
so
million.
A $5 million budget for this kind of movie is so small.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to accomplish a lot of what they wanted to do was actually pretty impressive.
100%.
One thing that I noticed, I don't know what to make of this, but all of the harvesters were named after the gospel. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I don't know if that means anything, but I just thought that was interesting. I was like, oh yeah, those are the gospels in the Bible.
Yeah.
Don't know what they're trying to say, but there we go.
So another thing I liked about this movie was like how it made you feel, like more or less like what it reminded you of from other movies. So obviously we've got a huge benefactor here for Space Odyssey, 2001. Between Kevin Spacey and Sam Rockwell's characters, although not to that extent. Not nearly to that extent.
It was kind of anti-2001, where in 2001, Hal is aggressive and, kind of the antagonist, where in this, you're actually surprised when Gertie tries to help Sam out. He actually helps him log into a computer at one point that kind of reveals what happens to the clones.
Yeah. So, like, you get nice reminders of that, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then there's most likely a better example than this one that I'm going to give, but the first one that came to mind was Oblivion, when Tom Cruise found the other Tom Cruises and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, like, I was like, oh, man, that's crazy. That's insane.
Although Oblivion came out after this, so...
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I didn't know that. Like, I'm even looking it up now.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, wow, that's insane. 2013, you are absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sure,
hey,
baby,
Oblivion reminded me Moon. Did I just say Olivia or Oblivia?
I think he said Oblivion, but who knows?
Oh, my
God. Sam Rockwell is a geographical oddity, if you ask me. He is from San Francisco in the Bay Area, Daly City or Dale City, I believe, but it's, in the Bay Area. But goddamn, if he doesn't have the perfect Southern accent, even when he's just being himself...
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know where. I don't know who. I don't know how. But he has a Southern accent, and he's from San Francisco, Daly City, California. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
What's funny is he moved to New York. So not only is he from San Francisco, but he then moved to New York.
Yeah.
So there's two different accents there.
But not the one he has.
Southern.
Like to the point where they have it's just a subtle, detail that they have a Tennessee Titans insignia hanging up in his room, hinting that he's from Tennessee, which just, Sam Rockwell, who are you? Who are you, Sam Rockwell?
Who are you? What the heck? I just passed some of his credits, and he's Sam Bell on another movie called Mute.
Mute? That's another Duncan Jones movie.
Yeah, and his name's Sam Bell in that movie.
Oh, maybe it's supposed to take place in the same universe. Or it's just a nice little...
I believe his character was the child molester, wasn't he? Oh, no, it's uncredited. Hold on. Wait.
Maybe it's like news archive footage or something.
Maybe.
To kind of connect the two films.
I'm glad I came across that. Look at this interesting fact.
Look at this. This is a KFR exclusive. So Mute,
brought to you by none other than Glenn.
Mute and Moon take place in the same universe, and no one knows. Not even Duncan Jones knows.
He's uncredited as Sam Bell. And
I think I remember him just being on like a news segment when that happened, either about the clone or about him being an astronaut. But I do remember that because I think you watched it too. Mute, which is it's a decent movie. I actually really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's crazy. Confirmed. Duncan Jones said that it takes place in the same universe, and Sam Bell is Sam Bell.
I'm glad I came across that. That just made this whole podcast a little more interesting.
A little more interesting, yeah.
So there's that, and what Duncan Jones said in that a little interview there, which I completely had forgot about when I was doing the referencing thing, is this whole movie, I had a solid Blade Runner feel to it. Like,
I think he was talking about Mute.
oh, was he? Well,
Yeah, but
he
this
said
does
at
a
one
little
point
bit, too.
Blade Runner, I think. Do I have to go
Well,
back?
no,
in this
I think he was
fucking-
talking about the movie. I don't know, whatever. But either way, yeah, they both kind of have a Blade Runner feel where it's it's the future, but it's not neat and clean. It's how the future actually will be, which is dirty and disgusting. And your robots will be covered in coffee stains.
That's not even what I'm talking about, man. Okay. All right, so what I was talking about here is it reminded me more or less of Blade Runner because of these guys they're clones. And when they find out they're clones, they realize they basically only have like a 3-year lifespan.
Oh, okay.
And which the replicants, off the top of my head, I don't remember their lifespan, but they were fake humans that just wanted to live their life as humans without, dying. They just wanted to live.
Yeah, I could definitely see that
In
now.
this movie, you got Sam Bells all over the place. They don't want to die. They want to get back to their family, which if they all do, that's going to be a little awkward because there are going to be 3 Sam Bells saying, "What's up, baby? Where's my child?"
I got 3 dads now.
Actually, honey, you got a lot more than that up on the moon. But yeah, like I had huge Blade Runner vibes, and thanks to that video, I'm very certain that he said Blade Runner in the beginning of the interview.
Yeah,
But-
he did. Yeah, I just thought he was talking about Mute, not this.
But I could see Blade Runner in that too. But still, regardless, that was I guess a huge thing for my mind to be blown by. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about this. You and I had a discussion beforehand where we just kind of both enjoyed watching these movies, didn't take too many notes.
Yeah.
So we don't have much. This might be just another short one.
Well, it also doesn't help these movies are short. So like we can't complain about the length. It was a nice length. It was good length.
And specifically, Moon takes place all in like one area.
Yeah, it's a secluded area.
It's essentially just the same mystery throughout the entire thing. There's no real huge reveals.
And there's no other actors or actresses in the movie, so you can't complain about that or respect it.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm glad that I rewatched it.
Same.
Looks like we got a live one. I'm gonna go out.
Okay, Sam.
Leaving Serang, working perimeter.
I'm outside. Who is he? You tell me who that is!
Perhaps you were imagining things.
What's going on? Where did he come from? Why does he look like me? You've been up here too long, man. You've lost your marbles. 2 weeks. I don't understand what's happening. This is my mind. I want to go home.
I know.
And you know what? While we're just trying to think of things to say, let's just say fuck it and move on to The Mummy.
I was done anyway, so fuck it. Let's move on to The Mummy.
Where did you get this?
On a dig down in Thebes.
Jonathan, I think you found something.
There is an ancient legend of a place known as the City of the Dead.
We call it the doorway to hell.
Where the earliest pharaohs were said to have hidden the wealth of Egypt. Are we going into battle?
There's something out there. Something underneath that sand.
They came to uncover its secrets.
Mummies, my good son. This is where they made the mummies.
They sought to unlock its treasure.
And then there was light.
Oh, boy.
What they did
Oh my God. It does exist.
I think this may be the Book of the Dead.
was unleash a force unlike any the world has ever known.
You must not read from the book!
The Mummy. At an archaeological dig in an ancient city of Hamonpatra. Hamonapatra. I don't know why I put a little Spanish slang on it. But an American serving in a French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak? That's definitely wreak havoc.
Yeah, it says wreak havoc.
Wreak havoc as he searches for Jesus Christ. I even
you wanna,
did the
you
little
want to just
red
start over? You want to start over?
No. The reincarnation of his long-lost love. That was it.
A knocks on the moon!
Directed by Stephen Sommers. And written by Stephen Sommers. Lloyd Fonville. And stars Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah. Finally, I got through it all. Look at that.
And Arnold Vosloo as well. Don't forget Arnold Vosloo. Kevin J. O'Connor, Jonathan Hyde, Oded
Okay,
Fair.
we're just going down the whole list there, are we?
Eric Avari. This, as I said last week, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. One of the movies that got me into filmmaking in the first place. And I'm not ashamed to say it. And you know what, Glenn? After watching it last night, I have a hot take. Are you ready for that hot take?
Hot take me, baby.
This is a better movie than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
See, I've barely seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, so I can't argue with it.
Well,
Although
you suck.
Although for me, and here we go, what I have seen from Raiders of the Lost Ark, I do like The Mummy more because The Mummy's had a more special place in my heart than Indiana Jones.
Yes, granted it has like 20 years or whatever to
let's build a seat for two on this hot take.
We got 2 seats on this hot take.
Together.
We have unlimited seats for anyone else who wants to join, but we are saying that The Mummy, directed by Stephen Sommers, is better than Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Not the other one with Tom Cruise.
Or the one from the 30s or 40s or whatever decade that was from.
Yeah.
What's the matter, man? For heaven's sakes, what is it?
He went for a little walk.
Far, far away.
But I always forget how much I enjoy this movie until I watch it again. And like I know I got excited last week, but like I really got into this movie again. And the thing about this movie, unlike Moon, every single part is memorable for me. There wasn't a single shot in it that I didn't remember. There wasn't a single line of dialogue that I didn't remember. I didn't have it memorized, but I remembered it. There was nothing like, oh, I don't remember that happening. Yeah. I remember every single frame of this movie. I probably watched it a good 15, 20 times when I was a kid. So
yeah, I'd have to say I at least watched it a little less than a dozen times. But this movie, it was one of the bookmarks in my life. Not as big as a bookmark for you, but it was a great movie, man. It's classic.
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with Egyptian.
20 years old. Holy shit.
I was obsessed with Egyptian history even before this movie, and this kind of just more so instilled it and made me, before I realized I actually wanted to be a filmmaker, it made me I thought I wanted to be an archaeologist because of this movie.
Yeah.
And it holds up, it's definitely feels like a 90s movie, but like a good 90s movie.
It does. The only thing that doesn't hold up, obviously, is the CGI.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else is fantastic about this movie.
Absolutely. And Brendan Fraser's a natural treasure. What this country did to him after Crash is horrific. And
it's not what the country did, it's what his wife did.
I don't know. What did his wife do?
And any money he makes, his wife gets.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah,
Brendan Fraser, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had to look that up like a year or two ago because I was wondering where he's been.
How's he supposed to make money if she gets it all?
Exactly.
What?
So any work that he does pretty much goes directly to her, or at least a huge portion of it, if I remember correctly. If not, I'm sorry, I'm lying to you, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read and everything like that. There's probably other reasons among it, but I'm sure that really hits the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah. But, even with the opening of this movie, with the you kind of see what happens to Imhotep and Anaxunamun. No, I can't pronounce that fucking name.
Anaxunamun.
Anaxunamun. Yeah.
Anaxunamun.
And
we're about to conjure her up right now if we keep chanting this.
was that a Beetlejuice rule? But when they kill the pharaoh, that kind of was like almost Shakespearean, kind of like Julius Caesar, kind of.
Yeah.
Where just had that moment where it's just like, Imhotep, my priest. And it's such a great movie throughout. It's got a perfect balance of, action, drama, comedy, even romance for those who enjoy that. Like I said, I remember every single part of this movie, and I hope that never changes.
If you would have asked me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, that Rachel Weisz is in this movie, not asked me, told me, I would have told you, no. No, she's not. To me, she does not look the same at all. And when I read her name was in here, I was like, get out of this house.
I mean, she was like 28 or 29 when they filmed it. So
she looks not completely different. I won't say that, but I could have sworn she was not in this movie, and here she is. I thought it was somebody else.
See, I knew it was her just because I had a crush on her when I was a kid after seeing it, and then when I saw she was in The Fountain, I was like, oh, it's her from The Mummy. And then when I saw she was in The Favorite, I'm like, oh, it's her from The Mummy. I don't know her name. What's her name? Her name is her from The Mummy for me. No, it's Rachel Weisz. She's a great actress. She's one of my favorite actresses, and gets better with age, in my opinion. She, The Favorite is probably one of her best roles, and I'm really excited that she had this success. Hopefully, Brendan Fraser can grab some success too, because he's my boy, Blue.
Do you know there's a Mummy TV series?
Is or was?
Was back in 2001 to 2003. I had no idea about that.
I believe it. This movie was huge.
It was a cartoon.
Yeah, this movie was huge when it came out. Let's see. Let's get some numbers here. The budget was $80 million. Opening weekend, it made a little over 43 million, which is pretty good. And then since 2012 was the last time they kind of added up the numbers, it has made almost $500 million.
Yeah.
So this is a massive success, even if it took some time. But I think it was a success even after. I think it doubled its money while in theaters. And
imagine how much it made since the last Mummy came out. After Tom
when
Cruise,
everyone was like, "Oh, this isn't
like,
what I remember."
Fuck it, go buy the old one.
But yeah, I just really enjoyed this movie. I took less notes for this than I did for Moon, just because I was catching myself just watching it. This movie is so quotable, especially with the character Benny.
Yeah, anything Benny is quotable.
Anything Benny says is quotable. The warden, who what's the character's name? It's not just the warden.
Something short too.
Gad Hassan.
Yeah.
Warden Gad Hassan, who is played by Omid Djalili, who is a British comedian. He's hilarious. He's most of his lines. He was my favorite character, honestly.
Yeah.
So that makes me want to ask you, who other than Brendan Fraser is your favorite character in this movie?
Ah, shit. It's really hard, to be honest with you. And the only reason I like the character is because I know them in something else, and they were fantastic in that role. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to think about now that I can't say Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Probably John Hannah, to be honest with you.
John Hannah? Yeah. The entire every character in this movie has a memorable part.
Yeah.
It's probably the most balanced as far as, actors go for the side characters and the smaller roles. They get just as much screen time, just as much memorable moments. You get everything from Mr. Henderson, who is the cowboy type American, him just trying to be like a John Wayne type. Then you get Corey Johnson, who plays Mr. Daniels. He's kind of he's the balding guy. He has his moments. Then you have Mr. Burns, who's the guy that loses his eyes and tongue. You just have so many characters that get these awesome, memorable parts, and it are just as important to the film. You can't take a single character out of this movie and have it be the same movie.
Yeah.
Which you can't say that about many movies. You can certainly say that even about like Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park or anything. Like you can take certain characters out of that and it's still relatively the same movie, but not this movie. This movie gives like fair show to everybody. And I was just amazed watching it last night.
Yeah, man, I picked this movie because I was just tweaking a little bit. I needed my Brendan Fraser fix. Mm-hmm. And, oh, man, he's so good in this movie. Everybody's so good in this movie. But yeah. Brendan Fraser was a hunk. Let me tell you. Ooh, honey, I need a fan right now.
Brendan Fraser. I tell everyone, and this is partially true. I mean, I would not mind winning an Oscar at some point in my life, but my career goal is to direct Brendan Fraser in something more than it is to win an Oscar. And
yeah, he's been in this show called Doom Patrol, and they've been advertising it a lot lately, and they mainly advertise that it's Brendan Fraser playing this one character, like Mr. Robot or whatever his name is.
Yeah, you don't even see his face.
And I read Brendan Fraser, I'm like, yes, I need to see the Mummy right now.
My friend Kevin's actually working on that movie. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm saying it. He told me, so I'm guessing that I can say it. I'm not really giving anything. He's just an electrician, I believe. So
is it a movie or a show?
It's a show. It's a. I think it might be limited series, but you know them. Anytime it's a limited series, they'll probably
if
make
it does
more
well enough.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see that, and that's a superhero thing. Like I only want to see it for Brendan Fraser. I don't care about anyone else.
That's the only reason I want to, and like I haven't even watched any of the Marvel shows. Like I watched maybe a little bit of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then I stopped. That was boring. I watched a little bit of Gotham, but it was so bland. All the shows are bland. Brendan Fraser, he's not. He's like, I'm Brendan Fraser, baby, and I'm like, I know. That's why I'm here.
But I mean, Brendan Fraser's a hunk. It makes me question who I am. Rachel Weisz is awesome as usual. John Hannah. This movie is just so solid. It's so well made. I don't understand why anyone would say this is a bad movie. Apparently on Metacritic, they have a 48 Metascore, and I think that's out of 100. So, those people can go kick rocks. It's just a fun movie.
This movie, it made me laugh really hard. It really set that typecast of the Americans just dual pistoling the fuck up.
Yeah, like even with them, like while they're shooting some of the Magi, who you find out later that they're good, but for the longest time you think they're bad guys, and the Americans are just shooting at them. They even do the whole cowboy like, Yahoo! Woo!
Yep. It's so funny.
It's really funny.
So for a while there, I was into really bad comedies, like Deuce Bigalow, for instance. And he's in Deuce Bigalow. So my mind was blown when I did Fair was in Deuce Bigalow. I'm like, what the hell? And it's just obviously it's a huge drastic change from him being this leader.
This badass leader, too.
Yeah, this badass leader. And then next thing you know, he's a male prostitute.
He's got range.
Not that we're talking about that shit movie. Deuce Bigalow, but still.
Man, yeah, this is just a really solid movie. I don't really have too much to say. Just singing its praises over and over again.
It's one of those really good classic movies that you wish you took more time to appreciate.
Yeah. You were saying that both of these movies were short, talking about Moon and The Mummy. The Mummy is 2 hours and 4 minutes long. That's not a short movie, but it just flows so well it feels short.
It doesn't feel that long.
Yeah, and that's good. That's always good. If a movie feels shorter than it is, then it's got good flow. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good movie, but it's definitely got good flow.
Especially when they don't sit in one spot for too long. It's always them constantly either moving to the next thing or them running away or them going back or whatever it is.
Or cutting to another character.
Yeah, the flow is so nice. And I really loved rewatching this movie, man.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm going to make it an annual treat for myself is rewatching The Mummy.
Trick or treat.
Yeah. Although I think I've seen it more times than I am old.
Actually, I'd love to watch it on Halloween. I usually try to watch The Addams Family annually, but now I think I might replace that shit.
You got anything else to say about this?
I do not. Brendan Fraser's a hunk. That's it.
You have unleashed the creature that we have feared for more than 3,000 years. He will regenerate and no longer be the undead.
We are in serious trouble.
If the occasion calls for it.
Trust me! It calls for it!
Universal Pictures invites you
His powers are growing.
Run! This just keeps getting better and better.
to experience the adventure
It appears he's already chosen his human sacrifice.
that will live forever.
If he turns me into a mummy, you're the first one I'm coming after.
Go!
The Mummy.
So we have talked about Moon and The Mummy, probably not as much as we've talked about other movies, but that's because we just really fucking enjoyed them. More
or less, all you have to say is it's really fucking good.
It's really, really fucking good. So let's get into the judgment, shall we? As you all know, for the movies to make it onto the KFR shelf, it has to be unanimous decision by both Glenjamin and I. So let's talk about Moon. Moon was my movie, so I'll go first. I think it still holds up, story-wise, acting-wise. Like you said, it kind of falters a little bit with CGI, but and editing. But overall, it's still a pretty decent movie. I kind of want to get your opinion on this, just because I am a little torn. I do love this movie, but I'm just not 100% sure.
Throwing it back to last week, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
where we have this stalemate.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a little inside scoop on the Glenjamin Button experience. Moon, although the CGI didn't really hold up, the editing didn't really hold up to a certain standard. I feel that they used it minimally enough to where you're like, okay, I'm not terribly offended by this.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't hurt my opinion on the movie as a whole altogether, because the story in itself was good enough, and the acting itself, even though there was only 3 or 4 real whole people in this movie, I think those traits flew to the higher peaks of the mountain than the CGI holds it down to.
I would agree with that. And it's just, we always talk about how we want more standalone movies, for lack of a better word. More movies that kind of, make their own thing and not cookie cutter. I'll say I think we can put it on the shelf. I think it's worthy. It has enough good in there. It does feel like that it was probably longer, and then the editing might be because they cut it down to the time that it is.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. So I'm still gonna say we can put it on the shelf.
No, you could say that, but I didn't make my choice. I'm not putting that fucker on the shelf.
Well, I know. I'm just telling you I want to put it on the shelf.
Even though I am gonna put it on the shelf.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Gotta have some tension here. Gotta always have you on your toes, even if you're on your feet. What?
So, Moon makes it onto the shelf, and let's move on to see if The Mummy does the same.
Why would this movie ever make it to the shelf? The CGI is terrible. The acting's fantastic. The chemistry between the actors are great. Freaking, no, there's no reason for this movie to make it on the shelf. Unless you're a demon, then call me a demon. Or mummy, I don't care. Whatever evil spirit you want to conjure
Mummy
up.
would have been better.
Mummy would have been fantastic.
So, are you saying it should go on the shelf?
Absolutely.
Is this a shelf boy?
Childhood memories were brought back into this 26-year-old body of mine, and I thought, wow, this is gross.
Well, you see, I think this is where you and I might disagree here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So while I really enjoyed this movie, it's just not artistic enough for me. You know, it doesn't have enough themes, social themes, and, you know, nods to politics today. There's nothing about, you know, how America's going in the wrong direction. And there's just not enough that is really saying much. Sure, it's a fun ride, but how are we supposed to know if it's good if it's not saying something? Because I fucking enjoyed it, that's why. So this will go on the shelf. I don't know what I was doing there. I thought I'd do a bit, but...
I had the biggest grin, because I was going to let you try. I'm going to let you try to convince me. And all you did was just monologue about how great this movie was. Just on opposite day. That's all I heard about it.
Yes, it is a fun-ass movie. And, you know, there are times for those movies. I don't hate on big blockbuster movies because they aren't fun. I don't think they're nearly as fun as this. But, yeah, there's a time and place for this kind of movie, so this, of course, does go on the shelf.
We've got Shelf Boys.
Two Shelf Boys. We haven't done that in a while, get two Shelf Boys. But I don't think that's going to happen next week, if I'm honest. So we got The Moon, or not The Moon. We got Moon and The Mummy on the shelf, along with the other KFR Shelf Boys.
There's a lot of boys this time. Well, this time, not just period. There's a lot of boys anymore.
Yeah.
What?
As always, we got two more movies for next week. Glenn, what's your movie?
Okay, I'm going to give you, because I'm a little stuck here, to be honest. I'm going to give you a multiple choice here.
Ooh.
And I want
Don't tell me the title, kind of just describe them to me.
Okay. I'll say the genres, and then I'll say the time they were released.
Okay.
We got a Western made in the very late 60s. Or we've got a mid-90s drama.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a little bit more if you really want.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
One's a Texas Western.
Thank you for clearing
and the
that
other
up.
one is a lawyer drama.
Okay. Lawyer dramas are typically pretty good, especially in the 90s. That was kind of their peak.
The Western's about murder, which is kind of a given.
Yeah. I feel like we've kind of neglected the Western genre. So I'm going to say the 1960s Western that takes place in Texas and is about murder.
Also, it's an original. It was remade by the Coen brothers. It is
True Grit?
True Grit.
Oh, where can we watch that?
It is going to be on Amazon Prime. That's right. We didn't pick a Netflix. And by we, I mean me. True Grit, directed by Henry Hathaway, stars John Wayne, Kim Darby, and Glenn Campbell. Synopsis here. A drunken, hard-nosed U.S. Marshal and a Texas Ranger help a stubborn teenager track down her father's murderer in Indiana. And by Indiana, I mean Indian Territory.
Cool. So my movie is available on Netflix. Netflix sponsor us.
Please.
And you know me. I'm not really much of a fandom person. I don't really have a fandom of anything other than, you know, Philadelphia sports and
metal music.
And there's one other thing that it's film related, but it's specific. Can you guess what that thing I'm a fan of is?
Mike, I thought we talked about this. We can't bring up your addictions to porn on the podcast.
No, hey, Glenn, no.
You gotta tell me. If it's not that, I don't know.
It's not that. I have that under control. I told you.
Is it Orson Welles?
No, it's A24.
Oh shit.
A24 is by far my favorite film distribution studio, which
They
is,
are
you know,
fantastic.
for most people, that's a very weird sentence to say, but, you know, to me, it makes sense. But anyway, I have never seen the first movie that they released in theaters or had wide release in theaters. Mainly because I don't think it looks good, but I have faith in A24.
Okay.
I have faith. And that movie is Spring Breakers.
Oh, shit.
Ran and directed.
To be honest, I never thought I'd watch this movie, but here we are.
You know what? Neither did I, and I felt like throwing a curveball our way.
Okay.
I have no expectations of liking this movie, which might be a good way to go into it.
Yeah.
But it's written and directed by Harmony Korine,
probably.
And is starring Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, Ashley Benson, and James Franco for some reason wearing grills and having cornrows, which is 90% of the reason I don't want to see this movie. But
yeah, as far as the cast goes, it's more of a pop kind of cast.
Yeah, which is why I don't want to see it. But then it's also A24, so I feel like they got to at least, even in the early days, got to know something. So it's about 4 college girls hold up a restaurant in order to fund their spring break vacation. While partying, drinking, and taking drugs, they are arrested only to be bailed out by a drug and arms dealer. Ooh.
Yeah. All right, so I will say this about this movie. It's A24. That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's A24.
I know a lot of my friends who smoked the reefer liked this movie, so I can only imagine that we'll see. We'll see.
I have no expectations for it. I thought it'd be
could be better
interesting.
than we expect. Who knows?
It could be, and I felt like it'd be interesting to watch a movie that neither of us really want to watch. So.
That is very true.
So there we go. So next week's movies are True Grit, the John Wayne version, and Spring Breakers.
What a contrast. Think about that for a second.
That is a massive contrast.
Oh my goodness.
As always, you can follow us on Instagram at Keystone_film_review. We're also on Facebook, Keystone Film Review. On Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it for the Keystone Film Review podcast for this week. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.